Happy Sunday, everybody. Steve here again. I want to tackle a subject today that's not particularly cheery. Just talking about death and working my way through Psalms. And on this particular Psalm, Psalm 49, some thoughts on death. And you can't take it with you. And I was thinking about a story. My brother-in-law was out doing back when we were in the Air Force, he was doing a red flag out in Las Vegas, and there's a lot of airspace there in Nevada. Of course, there's pretty much nothing but Las Vegas and desert and gambling in Nevada. But there's a big chunk of airspace that they use for red flag. Anyway, big training area. He was out there for it when he was flying F-16s, and anyway, one night they were done with whatever they're doing. They went to a casino, and he told me the biggest takeaway he had from it, just watching people, not even playing the card games, which I guess are kind of fun for some people. But it was people parked in front of the slot machines, which takes zero skill. It's nothing but chance. And it wasn't even the plinking the quarters in. It was you could get money put on a card at the time. This was like in the mid 90s. I don't know what they do now, but they had these little cards, and they had little like telephone cord, spiral cords attached to them, and you'd hook them on, and then just kind of plug these cards into the machine, and it had credits on it, and you could just keep playing and playing. And he said he was telling me, I was watching these people. And a lot of them were senior citizen types, and they just were. These things were plugged in the machines, and they were just hitting and spending and spending and spending. And sometimes they'd win, and then it was right back into it. And he said it just looked like the machine was sucking the life out of them through this cord. And that mental image of people just spending the money like that. I'm going to do a video, I think, on Swedish death cleaning, a concept that I was reading about. And it's been 5 years since Mom passed, and kind of talking about the process that I went through and kind of what I'm going through now and thinking about. But I'm going to do a video on that coming up. I think I was doing a bunch of research for it today, and it interests me, and I think it might interest you. But back to what we're talking about here. You can't take it with you. And so what are you going to do with it when you have it? You're talking about resources and time and things like that. So I'm picking up Psalm 49, chapter 49, verse 5, starting there. Why should I fear when evil days come, when wicked deceivers surround me, those who trust in their wealth and boast of their great riches? No one can redeem the life of another or give to God a ransom for them. The ransom for a life is costly. No payment is ever enough, so that they should live on forever and not see decay. For all can see that the wise die, and that the foolish and the senseless also perish, leaving their wealth to others. Their tombs will remain their houses forever, their dwellings for endless generations, though they had named lands after themselves. People, despite their wealth, do not endure. They are like the beasts that perish. This is the fate of those who trust in themselves, and of their followers who approve their sayings. They are like sheep, and they are destined to die. Death will be their shepherd. But the upright will prevail over them in the morning. Their forms will decay in the grave, far from their princely mansions. But God will redeem me from the realm of the dead. He will surely take me to himself. Do not be overawed when the others grow rich, when the splendor of their houses increases. For they will take nothing with them when they die. Their splendor will not descend with them. Though while they live, they count themselves blessed, and the people praise you when you prosper, they will join those who have gone before them, who will never again see the light of life. People who have wealth but lack understanding are like the beasts that perish. So a couple of key verses there that I really took away. Verse 10, leaving their wealth to others. 17, you don't take anything with you when you die. And if you have wealth but lack understanding, you're like the beasts that perish. So thinking about a couple of things. Take for me when I read this and what I'm taking away from this. Um, what are you going to do with what the things God's blessed you with? And um, thinking about a lot of things. One of the things Mom said, she had gotten to a point. This was probably 20 years ago. Um, and she had kind of gotten to a point where she's like, I had been saving all of these things that I thought that you might want. And I realized that, it had no matter to you. I mean, there's no value to you, no sentimental value or anything else. There's some things that Mom had that I've kept that have great sentimental value for me. Some people expressed concern about the fact that I auctioned off a lot of her paintings. Well, some of them, frankly, she painted after I had long gone and moved on with my life. And she painted, but there's one of them in particular, the Canada sledding hill painting. I remember that. I remember going that day sledding, and we had taken a picture, and she painted from it. And I remember, one of the little, people on the hill or was wearing a blue coat with a little red spot, and that was my old Canada coat. I had a little coat that had a little Canadian flag on it, and we lived up there in Canada. I remember that day, and it means a great deal to me, and I've kept it. But what about all the other stuff? And she had gotten to that point, and she's like, I'm just going to downsize now, and that's kind of the concept that I'll kind of talk over with the death cleansing, but death cleaning. What are you saving for? And Arlene had told me about this book, Die with Zero, and I think I've talked about this a little bit too. But the concept is basically that it's experiences now, and doing things while you're young enough to enjoy them, remember them, and especially with the kids, and doing things with your kids that they'll remember and cherish. And instead of leaving your kids a big chunk of money, hey, mom and dad died, here's the money that they left me, maybe a whole lot less, but more experiences and more time. Like, hey, I remember when we all went, and they, maybe they rented a lake house and for a month one summer, and we all went there, and you remember how much fun that was. And you end up with less money in the end from them, but you have that experience. You remember the rest of your life. That resonates with me. I think that the kids would rather have had that time. When I was a kid growing up, we had, Mom and Bucky would rent a beach house, and I still remember, for like a week during summer before school started, and Bucky had to go back to working, as hard as he did, but that we always treasured those times. And and it was all of us together, and it was good, So, what are you saving for? Because you can't take it with you. What are you saving for? And there's charitable organizations as well that you can leave and help. So there's a lot of things, a lot of with this chapter that really kind of resonates with me. But it comes for us all. The wise and the senseless, it all. So you have to think and plan and think about, what are you going to do with the things God's blessed you with. So, I don't know, it's just a lot of introspection for me and thinking, not that I plan to die anytime soon or anything else, but I hope this was a blessing and get you thinking a little bit. And like I said, I plan to do a video and where I'm going to talk about that a little bit. I'm going to talk about this concept that I was reading about, and a little bit of how it applied, dealing with Mom's passing, if that's going to be, because I've talked about it some before, that it was kind of a blessing for some, but talk through that, because it's been 5 years now since Mom passed, and it's getting harder and harder to believe that the time goes by so fast like it does. But I'll talk through, all that and kind of what we went through and some things that I realized as I was going through it that I don't want to do for my children. So anyway, hope you have a great Sunday, and we'll see you next time. Take care.